John Benton, and I was an aviation electronic technician first class. Well, when I joined, originally I joined as a 2x4, which meant basically it was a reserve program. You go through boot camp and tech school and then to a reserve unit after that. So I went back to Marietta, and where I was from, well, Naval Air Station Atlanta is right there on the other side of the field from Lockheed, and Dobbins Air Force Base was there too. So I went to an A4 squadron there, and I did 2 drill weekends, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. You know, was going to go to college, and didn't have all that stuff in my head. You know, I didn't have a determination then, and I decided, well, I'm just going to go back active duty. So I did 2 drill weekends, and I went back active duty, and I wound up with an A6 squadron at Oceana, and I didn't work right in the squadron. They sent me to, I don't know if you know what this is, AIMD, which is intermediate maintenance. So it's not at the squadron, but it's the next step up. So my job was to fix the UHF radios for the A6 and the power supply that went with them. And how many months did I spend there? About 3 months doing that, learning that. I had a really good second class that I worked with, had been doing it for a while, and it was a skill set that was, in my case, it turned out to be rare, because when I eventually got to the ship, my replacement had already left, and nobody else knew how to fix those radios, but I did. So I spent 3 months at Oceana, and then they flew me. Where did I go? Let's see. I'm trying to remember. I didn't fly right out of Oceana. Maybe I went to NES Norfolk, or maybe I went to the airport. But I flew into. I went to Philly International. I was, what was I? 19. Yeah, I was 19. Went to Philly International, and in Pennsylvania, the law was different, you know, as far as drinking. Where in Virginia, you could buy a beer if you're 18. Now you had to be, I forget, 21 or something in Philadelphia, so no beer. But so we took a DC-8 from Philly to Madrid, and then changed planes in Madrid, got a C-130 to Rota, stayed in Rota a couple of days, and they flew us C-130 to Naples, Italy, and that's where the ship was, of John F. Kennedy, the aircraft carrier. And we got in late in the day. I mean, it was almost dusk, and so they bussed us down to the fleet landing. See, the ship, you know, they didn't pull up to a pier or anything like that. They were anchored out, so they were running Liberty boats to the fleet landing, and, you know, people back and forth. And as it turned out, gosh, that was fall of '75, September '75. As it turned out, the ship was leaving the next day, very next day, for 30 days at sea. So I got there and got on board and got my rack assignment, berthing compartment with, gosh, how many people were in there? 120, 150. The bunks, you've probably heard some of these stories before. 3 high, you know, 12, 6 deep or 8 deep, or some of them were deeper than that. I mean, it's a whole row. And but I got situated, and the next day we pulled out at sea, and we did a NATO exercise with the Turks, and I don't remember if the Greeks were involved, because I think they were at each other's throats back then, but we went to Turkey, but never set foot ashore. But it was a NATO exercise. We were working with the British, and I remember the British because they had a carrier, and we went to Antalya, and it's a bay there, and there's a town, but we never set foot on shore. but it must have been a couple dozen ships. And so we anchored for a day or two, and I think the the people that needed to rub elbows with each other's ships, command officers and department heads, whoever, they did all that, and we just stayed on the ship and for 30 days at sea, and then we went back into Naples, and it seems like we're always going into Naples.